Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, on the 17th day of May. One of the benefits of these Sunday morning get-togethers is the opportunity once in a while to sit down and have an extended conversation, such as the case this morning as we sit down with Ohio Governor Mike DeWine from a socially distant 146 miles apart. As Ohio began to reopen, I said that you would be treating this like a valve. You turn it a little, then you monitor the gauges, and the gauges being hospitalizations, new cases, death rates, and then that will determine whether or not you turn it back or you move forward. 2 weeks into this, what are those gauges telling you?
Well, the challenge is that the gauges are always about 3 to 4 weeks behind. So, every day when I get up, I look at the numbers, and we look at hospitalization, we look at new cases, we look at deaths, and try to see what's happening. And so what we've had for about 3 to 4 weeks is a plateau, and that's not bad. We would love it to go down, but at least we have plateaued out. Hospitalizations, for example, are very important to watch those numbers. So we're at a plateau. The scientists do a number, and I can't even remember what it's called, but it's what I call replication, which simply means one person on average will infect how many people. And at one point we were at like 2.5. Today we're right at 1. One person infects 1. If you could get it below 1, then you'd start seeing this thing go down. But we really don't have a choice but to try to do 2 things at once, and that is to get our economy back up and at the same time to protect people.
You've said essentially all along that it won't be a governor or a president who determines whether it's a good time to reopen. It's going to be the people. If they're not feeling comfortable going to a restaurant, they're not going to go. When we reopen on Thursday, will you feel comfortable going to a restaurant?
Yeah, I think everybody's got to make their own choices, and I think it's not so important how I feel, but everybody's got to understand their own situation. Let's say someone is 50 but they're diabetic. They got to be more careful. Let's say someone is, one of the tragic things we've seen is people who are obese. Their rate of hospitalization is double what someone who's not obese is. So if you look at all the different medical conditions people have, they need to be careful. We have to keep the distance. Ohioans have done a great job in trying to keep a distance. We're asking now people to wear a mask, and this is one that Fran made for me. You can tell. We can have fun with these, so we can do that.
You've held just about every elected position there is. I want to give you an appointed position, and I think you're qualified based on your long-suffering as a Reds fan and a minor league baseball owner. You are the baseball commissioner. How do you go about reopening?
Well, it's interesting. I had a conversation with the commissioner, I guess, 10 days ago or so, and what he was telling me then is, I guess, pretty public now. And they're going to try to do it without fans in July. And look, they've got the ability to make sure every one of those players has the best medical care possible. The commissioner told me that he had they were going to be able to have the testing that they needed. So we hope that happens. Those of us who love baseball hope that we can come home at night and turn it on, watch the Indians or watch the Reds, and relax a little bit with baseball. It's going to look pretty odd with no fans in the stands, but for the fan, having baseball back on the radio, it's a great radio sport, or back on TV is a very happy thought. So I think they're headed probably in the right direction. A lot's going to depend on where we are in July and what kind of situation there is, and they're going to have to take extra efforts to protect those players, because those players are going to be traveling together, they're going to be together. So if the COVID-19 gets into that circle of those ball players, it's tough to slow it down.
Well, baseball games mean big business for downtown Cleveland restaurants, and the lack of those crowds playing into the thought process for many restaurateurs for putting off reopening for just a little bit longer. East 4th Street is quiet this day. It was quieter still in the early 2000s when Nick Kosich decided to pour his money into a series of storefronts to create what would become Pickwick and Frolic, a restaurant and comedy club that cleared the path for the East 4th Street we now know today. Nick may have been the first to open in 2002, but he will not be the first to reopen in 2020.
I can't open 27,000 square feet and hope to bring however many people it takes to serve however many people come. I've got too much square footage here.
The main problem being downtown offices are still closed and the nearby sports venues sit empty.
We don't have critical mass downtown.
As a result, Pickwick is putting off reopening for more than a month until the end of June to better assess the climate. In the meantime, Nick has begun mapping out how they will deal with the social distancing requirements while estimating their impact.
We expect that we'll be opening at maybe 20% of our former business, hopefully on our way to 50%.
That will play a role in determining how many of the 80 employees he had when they closed in March he will be able to bring back.
We're waiting to see. We're very nervous.
Pausing a business comes with a cost. Cost is pointing to a recent survey of independent restaurant owners that put that figure at
$50,000 a month. Now mine exceeds that.
Still, Costas remains optimistic, and to know him is to know that the toughest part going forward is the fact that for many restaurateurs, the words social and distancing are ones that do not belong in the same sentence.
That's going to be the hardest thing for me. I like to shake hands. I like to hug people. I can't even do that with my family now. Imagine that. We're not meant to be this way.
With Democracy 2020, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday. Stay safe.